Hello everyone and welcome back to Planet Zoo. Today we are working on our One World Zoo. Today is Zoo Lovers Day, so I thought it would be a good opportunity to kind of decorate parts of the zoo I haven't really done much with, and I added a few exhibit animals in during the time, I added a spot for a couple of the African exhibit animals, and I added a spot for the North American exhibit animals, and I put in the giant desert scorpion, just because there's all of the snakes and stuff can go in on Reptile Awareness Day, but the scorpions, tarantulas, things like that are fairly easy to include and fairly easy to use as a decoration piece to the zoo, or a good location to add vending machines or extra benches and stuff for the guests. It was just, I didn't want just snakes. Not the biggest fan of snakes. That makes my skin crawl just thinking about it. So I was using this time to kind of get an idea of how I can put trees and stuff in place and use the trees as different perspective and focal points. I did learn that if you want to do the underbrush and flowers and stuff, it probably should do those prior to all of the trees. Trees make things fairly difficult. And by the time I actually got through, this is a half-hour time-lapsed video. I sped this up 8 times. I think I probably could have sped it up faster, but each of these little segments were at least an hour long. So I think one of these segments is almost 2 hours of just decorating the zoo, and I didn't even record all of the zoo management stuff I did. So I made sure the keepers were all assigned to different habitats or exhibits, and the vets, I made sure they were assigned to different habitats and exhibits. I haven't gone through yet and assigned caretakers or mechanics or vendors or anything like that yet. I might if things get any more chaotic for the staff, but I've been trying to give them their own staff area close to the habitats and exhibits I want them to do, because I've noticed they were just walking. They would be at the African staff room, and then they'd walk all the way over to where the North American area is with the polar bears and stuff, and I'm guys, that's just not the animals need care. You can't be walking across this entire zoo. It's not even that big yet. I was also going to designate a spot for the Australian animals, but I wasn't 100% sure where I really wanted to put them yet, because South America only has the exhibit animals so far, and North America only has the exhibit animals on one side, and the other side started. So I'm not too sure where I'm gonna put Australia at the minute. I mean, it'll obviously go near South America or North America. I'm just not sure if I want it on one of the sides or if I want it like in the middle. Like, I'm not sure how I want to do it. It's not quite where, I'm not quite far enough along to really decide where I want it to be yet. But I am super excited. We have Tapir's Day later this month, and so I believe I'm recording this before the Southeast Asian DLC comes out, but I believe we're getting a new tapir too, so I'll actually be able to do more than just the Baird's tapir in South America. I'll be able to do the new one as well, which I'm wondering what so yeah, that'll be cool. And I'm also super excited because we're supposed to get the clouded leopard. So I am able to do the clouded leopard for Leopard Day in May, and then we won't have to necessarily do the snow leopard because the snow leopard actually has its own designated day in October. So I was kind of torn if I wanted to do Leopard Day or Snow Leopard Day or how I wanted to do it, but now we can do both. So you won't see the snow leopard on Leopard Day, but we'll have a different leopard to do. And you know, they did release another bear in the DLC as well, but I don't believe I'm going to put it in the zoo. It was hard because it came out just a couple days after I released the World Bear Day video, so I could go back and add the sun bear, but also we don't really need to. There's already 5 bears in the zoo. And I probably, after I finish the safari zoo, I do actually want to like put my head down and finish the safari zoo as well. I like having 2 zoos, and I'm really working hard at not going overboard and having like all of my ideas started. I've got 100,000 different zoo ideas in my head, and I want to do all of them, and I am working hard at not doing all of them. I'm working hard at just, focusing on 1 or 2 at a time. And like I have mentioned before, the One World Zoo is really one that I'll continue all year long as I can load it. So far the loading isn't necessarily an issue, but if I'm trying to do stuff while it's playing, it is starting to get exceptionally difficult. So I do very much have to pause it while I'm building. So you'll notice anytime I'm building something, especially if it's more than just a couple of pieces, it's paused. Like, I can't physically play the game and play stuff. And there were a couple of instances. So the African area exhibit animals weren't too difficult to place. It was not giving me problems. But the North American one that I work on later, that one was being a pain in the ass. That one was very much being a butthead to me. So, and here I went through and I remembered, I kind of just half-assed this hippo area at one point. I was just I don't want to place any more rocks, and just did not place any more rocks. So I went back through and kind of made this look a little better, especially now that I kind of had an idea of how I can utilize the rocks a little better. because that's the other thing too. When I first started the One World Zoo, like, I'd only had the game for less than a month. Like, I had my little practice zoo thing that I had done a couple of exhibits for, and then I was like, oh, well, let's do an exhibit for or habitat for every animal to bring awareness to them. And then I was like, oh, well, I missed the zebra day, and so I was like, all right, we gotta scramble and get the zebras out. And then you can kind of tell, like, I did not have, that's how I ended up with this weird gap, because I was like, oh, I need to leave enough space to put other animals in, not realizing I probably could have just popped the zebras in first and called it good and, like, put the hippos in after. Like, I'm not sure why in my head I needed to leave space for the hippos before the zebras. Like, I sincerely have no idea why that's what my brain told me to do, but it is, and I worked through it, and here we are. So in Africa, the way I had split Africa was that the grassland was on one side and the jungle was on the other side. So that's why, like, the zebra and the hippos are on one side and the bonobos are on the other side. And then the exhibit animals I just placed next to the bonobos because there was so much space, and I'm not sure what animals are gonna end up filling in that space. Definitely at least one, if not two. But it's like I've got chimpanzees and gorillas later in the year. You know, there's a lion day, a cheetah day. There's a whole bunch of different stuff. So I also made sure everybody had educational boards, because I realized while I was going through and doing it that I had not placed them for some of the bears I had put in. And also during this process, I remembered that, well, I did not remember, but I realized that I had not set some of the animal talks, and I had not placed some of the animal talks, so I went through and I did that at one point too. And here I go again with rock number 4. I did decide, like, okay, you know what, maybe we try giving it a slightly different top, giving it a different texture, kind of working with some other rocks, seeing if we can kind of create, like, almost an overhang thing. And I'm not great at, like, combining rocks or trees, plants, whatever, and then duplicating them. So this I purposefully set out with, okay, I'm going to duplicate this. Like, I'm going to create a chunk and I'm going to duplicate it down and just kind of see how that works. Which it makes life a lot easier. And then I instantly, like, did not do this for the other side of that pathway. Like, I wanted to continue the rock wall with a slightly different rock down into the gray seal habitat, and then I did, but not those rocks, and I didn't, like, create something to duplicate. I just did what I normally did and just placed all of the rocks individually the entire length of the walkway. So I really do have to do better about that. And then I had picked a pathway for each area, and I had initially, just gone with the asphalt with the more decorative path off of the asphalt, but then I decided, well, there's the main stretch down that's asphalt, so why don't we just use the the decorative walkway for the whole area. So And it looks really nice. I really like how some of this area is coming out and developing. And then we've also, I've been trying really hard not to use a bunch of the blueprints and stuff, but I really thought, this how do you measure up sign that was on the Steamworks shop was really cool, and I had used it in the polar bear sanctuary, so I wanted to use it again. And why fix something that's not broken? So I plopped it here in between the Formosan black bear and the Himalayan brown bear. And I just, decorated the areas a little bit. Tried to make it all pretty. I'm not great at landscaping. I'm not great at foliage. Like trees, I can place trees all day. I can place rocks all day, but bushes, flowers, flower beds, statues, that kind of stuff I'm not really great at. That I am still learning. So I do occasionally use a blueprint just to I like the blueprints because especially now that I have all of these individual components in my brain a lot more, I can kind of see how those things were made. And I can get an idea of it. Also, though, when you're building for 2, 3, 4, 5 hours, at some point you're just like, listen, I need a filler for this space. I don't want to do any more building, and no, I'm not gonna do it. So that's where I was at the end of this particular day of recording, and I ended up recording a bit more. I was like, oh no, I'm not done. Why would I be done? Of course I'm not done. That's just silly. So then this is where I decide to use the temperate rocks for over here. And this is, again, okay, I'm just going to place a bunch of rocks. And me and myself, I'm like, oh, I don't want to use, rock number 1 the whole way down. So I'll scatter them out. And then obviously, so I didn't duplicate. And now I'm hand placing every single rock. Which is fine. It's fine. It happens. Sometimes you just have to place everything individually. Right? Right. Okay. Good. Glad we're all on the same page with that. Dude, I gotta get better with the hotkeys and duplicating things and merging things into groups and not making things as difficult as possible for myself. So, and during this time, I'm filling stuff in with the North American plants, and I didn't really have an idea for the North American stuff, right? I was really trying, and I'm thinking, and I'm what do I want to do here? I don't know what I want to do here. And it didn't turn out bad what I ended up doing for part of it, but it's definitely an eclectic build. More than anything. I couldn't decide on a theme because I wasn't doing, just a tundra area or just by the sea or just, there was nothing that was unique enough. When you think of North America, you have all the way from Mexico up through Canada into almost the North Pole essentially, and it's this huge range, and there's so much. And obviously there's a lot of diverse culture in Asia, there's a lot of diverse culture in Africa, but not being a part of those cultures I have unfortunately only been privy to the ones that make a bigger impact, right? So Chinese and Japanese building structures, you see a lot more than some of the other Asian cultures. So it's almost easier not having all that information because I can just, okay. And the game is very much, it gives you a certain style, right? So I went with those certain styles, and it's one of those things where I didn't know if I really wanted to include the different things from the different packs. Like, did I want to use the African benches or the East Asian benches or the Australian benches or anything like that? But some of it is based in the culture and the traditions, so by not using it, it was a weird thought process to go through. Like, what do I want? Like, how themed out do I want the zoo to be? I want the different areas to reflect the animals that are there. So yeah, panda statues in the Asian continental area, but then you've got like the Indian subculture too, and you're like, okay, and those are like the Indian elephant, which we'll get to later, and I'm really torn. And that's part of my problem is, the way I've divided it. Does the Indian subculture get its own subcontinent, get its own section? Because realistically, it could. It's got in the game, it's got the now I'm drawing a blank. It's got a few of the animals, like the tiger, Bengal tiger. See, I had all of these in my brain and like thought out, and now my brain is just like, nope, nope, we're not gonna be able to know anything about anything right now. We're just gonna say sayonara, see you later, to any and all information and thoughts that you had. It's like, my Adderall has not worn off yet. Like, listen, I took it, it's fine. I know I should be more focused than this. I have ADHD. I'm not just taking Adderall for the sake of it. Like, I have ADHD. I have prescribed medication for it. I am on a very low dose that I take in the morning, or I can take a second one later in the day, afternoon, if I need to focus more. I'm not just saying I'm taking Adderall for the sake of taking Adderall. No, I do have ADHD, and I usually take one before recording so I can keep all of the thoughts in my brain, and then you can kind of tell sometimes when I don't have it. Like, if I'm just playing a video game, like when I'm doing the Tomb Raider or Overlord series, chances are good, like, it's probably more worn out, or it's not, at the tip top of it, and I'm relying more on myself to focus. And other days you can be like, oh well, Star clearly recorded these 4 segments all at once. She was on it. Yeah, it happens sometimes. All right, we all know. We all saw what happened in January with Return of the Obra Dinn, or December, January, one of those months where it was just all Obra Dinn content and nothing else. I have been working very, very, very hard to not just release one game for an entire month and, focus on different things. I like doing different things. It helps keep me interested in the different things, and I don't burn myself out. Like, when I first started the channel, it was pretty much just Sims 4 stuff, and I burned myself out of the Sims 4 and building. And this is partially how I ended up with Planet Zoo, is I had seen it, and then it had been on my wish list forever and ever and ever, and then I didn't want to do Minecraft. They're releasing a new update for Minecraft eventually, and it's hard to be excited about continuing your projects in Minecraft when a new project is coming out, and with the updates that they're releasing, like, I want to start a new world, realistically speaking, so that's just a different issue. So Planet Zoo, and then they released the aquatic pack, and I was like, done, deal. I'm doing it. So but this is what I mean about this area being eclectic, right? I could have just gone with the New World stuff, which I did for the most part. The New World stuff to me does seem it's modern-ish. It's mostly modern. I'm not really sure the art style you would call it. So the New World stuff always catches my attention, and you could tell I was kind of torn by what I wanted this to look like. Like, I had this dry stone thing, and then I had the metal roof and the glass parts and the modern white pillars, and then the wood frame and the wood fencing, and then I was like, well, let's do the topiary fencing. And I was like, I'm not placing 1,000 pieces of topiary. That's insane. So I did just the topiary habitat fencing around it. And I'm like, yeah, okay, cool. Which, it drives me crazy that the fencing is the way it is. It's not on a grid like the walls, which I do and I don't get, but it's also not a build tool like the fencing, like the habitat fencing, and I want it to be more than it is, right? Like, the fencing bugs the crap out of me in this game. That seems to be one of my biggest hiccups with it. And that's how I feel about it. So, I ended up deciding that this exhibit area would be like a food court type thing. Like, we're pretty far away from the beginning part, which is where most of the food, hippos have most of the food. So we're currently, it's the opposite side of the zoo from where the hippo exhibit and the food is there. But I didn't want to do the stalls and stuff. I just did the vending machines. And I'll probably do vending machines along the main pathway a little bit, but the exhibit area seemed like a good place to put a couple picnic benches, a couple vending machines, bathrooms. I think every single exhibit area I've built so far has a bathroom somewhere next to it, just to kind of, and benches, that makes the most sense in my head and how a zoo would actually function. Okay, your group needs to use the bathroom or whatever, so give them something to look at if it's a large group, so some of you can look at a couple of the exhibit animals, some of you can go to the bathroom, there's benches around, You know, we're far away from the entrance, so there's some food and vending machines around. So now we moved into some pictures, and our grizzly bear was having a baby. I was so excited. I was so patient. I waited like 7 minutes for this bear to pop out its baby. Because they tell you so, like... Do they need to tell you as soon as it's going to have the baby? No, you want a little bit of time to come and watch. But it was 7 minutes between them giving me the notification, like, grizzly bear's going to have a baby, to when the baby actually showed up. So, could probably work on that timing a little bit. But baby bears are so cute. Baby bears are so cute. I love how she just sat down and like bear just appeared right there. So that's pretty much it. Like once we get into the animal stuff, it's just, you know, I had this video of baby Emmy coming up, and then I had a little video of our baby bear being a cute little girl. The babies in this game are so cute. Like, they did really do the animals well in this game. I'm really loving this game right now, if you guys can tell. Since I feel like I've been cranking out the Planet Zoo videos. Feel like it's been a bit crazy with the videos. That's okay. And then, you know, we've got a bunch of pictures of how the zoo is looking right now. Some of it's before I worked on the North American area, some of it's after. I had taken some pictures before I had done the North American exhibits. I wasn't sure if I was going to work on them or not before I made this video. And then I ended up having some extra time to work on it and throw them in, so that was good. Because I think the next time I do a bunch of zoo work like this will probably be for Endangered Species Day in May, which about a month, I think, so that's not too bad. I think we'll have the bear's tapir day, and then the leopard day and koala day. We've got 3 or 4 different days before the next big zoo stuff. So thank you guys so much for watching and have a great day. Bye guys.